If you grew up in the 1950s, getting married wasn't just a personal choice. It wasn't something you did when you felt ready. After living together for a few years, after establishing your career, getting married was the goal, the expected next step, the thing that made you a real adult. For women especially, marriage was the destination. Everything before it, high school, maybe college, maybe a job, was just a prelude. The main event was finding a husband, becoming a wife, starting a family. And most people married young, very young by today's standards. Girls often married at 18, 19, 20, right out of high school, or after a year or two of college, just long enough to find a suitable husband, sometimes even younger, with parental permission. Boys married at 20, 21, 22, after finishing school or starting a job, once they could provide, once they could support a family. Waiting until your late 20s was unusual. People would wonder what was wrong, why you hadn't found anyone, why no one had found you. The courtship leading to marriage followed a clear pattern, a progression everyone understood. You'd meet at school, at church, through friends, at a dance, at work. You'd date, supervised dates at first, going to the movies with friends, meeting for sodas at the drugstore, group activities where other people were always around. If it got serious, he'd meet your parents, formally, sit in the living room and make conversation while your father assessed him, asked about his job, his prospects, his intentions. And if your father approved and his approval mattered, really mattered, the relationship could continue. After several months of steady dating, you'd be going steady. And then, if things continued well, engagement. The proposal wasn't a surprise spectacle. There were no flash mobs or elaborate public displays. It was private, intimate, often expected. He'd save up for a ring, a diamond, if he could afford it. Small, modest maybe, a quarter carat, maybe less, but real. A symbol of his commitment and his ability to provide. He might ask your father's permission first. That was still common, still expected in many families. A formality, but an important one. "Sir, I'd like to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage." And your father would say yes or, rarely, no. And his answer mattered. Then he'd propose. Maybe at dinner, maybe on a walk, maybe in your parents' living room. He'd get down on one knee, hold out the ring. "Will you marry me?" And you'd say yes, tears streaming down your face, hands shaking as he slipped the ring onto your finger. The ring was everything. You'd hold it up to the light, show your friends, show your mother, admire how it sparkled, how it caught the light, how it announced to the world that you were engaged, spoken for, on your way to being a wife. Engagements were short. 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year at most. You didn't wait forever. Once you were engaged, you moved forward. The wedding planning began immediately, and it was a production. Your mother would take charge. This was her domain, her expertise, her chance to present her daughter properly to society. The guest list came first. Family, friends, church members, neighbors, co-workers. The list would grow and grow. 50 people, 75, 100. More if your family was large or well-connected. The church would be reserved. Almost all weddings happened in churches. That was standard. Expected. A civil ceremony was for people who had to get married quickly, and everyone knew what that meant. The date would be set, usually a Saturday, usually in the late morning or early afternoon, followed by a reception. The dress was crucial, the most important dress you'd ever wear. Some girls bought their dresses from a bridal shop or a department store, white or ivory, tea-length or floor-length, depending on how formal the wedding was. Others made their own, or had them made, by a seamstress, by an aunt who was good with a sewing machine, carefully constructed from patterns and yards of satin or taffeta or tulle. The dress would be modest, high neckline, long sleeves or short sleeves, nothing strapless that was to risk for a church wedding. The skirt full, requiring layers of crinoline underneath. A veil, always a veil, attached to a small cap or a crown of flowers, falling over your face during the ceremony, lifted by your groom for the first kiss. Gloves, if it was a formal wedding, white, delicate. Shoes, white heels, dyed to match the dress perfectly. And something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. The tradition followed faithfully. Your grandmother's handkerchief, new shoes, your sister's pearls, a blue garter. The bridesmaids would be chosen. Your sisters, your best friends, usually 4 or 5, sometimes more. Their dresses would match. all the same style, all the same color, often pastels, pink, yellow, blue, mint, green, ordered from catalogs or sewn to match. They'd carry bouquets, smaller than yours, coordinated with the wedding colors. The groomsmen would wear suits, dark suits, or tuxedos if it was very formal. Matching ties, boutonnieres, the maid of honor and best man were chosen carefully. These were honored positions, important roles in the ceremony. Did you get married in the 1950s? What was your wedding like? The dress, the church, the reception. Share your memories in the comments. We'd love to hear your love story. The bridal shower would happen a few weeks before, hosted by your bridesmaids or your aunts. An afternoon gathering. Women only. Games. Opening gifts. Housewares mostly. Dish towels. Mixing bowls. A toaster. An iron. Things you'd need to set up your home. Everything would be recorded. Who gave what. So you could write thank you notes later. Handwritten, personal, sent within a week. The rehearsal would be the night before at the church. The wedding party, walking through the ceremony. Where to stand, when to walk, how fast. The processional order, followed by the rehearsal dinner, usually at a restaurant. Hosted by the groom's family, a chance for both families to come together, to celebrate, to welcome the new member. Toasts would be made, stories told, advice given, laughter and nervousness mixed together. The wedding day would arrive with a flurry of preparation. You'd wake early, maybe at your parents' house, maybe you barely slept. Hair appointments, makeup, getting dressed carefully, with help. Your mother, your sisters, your bridesmaids, buttoning all the tiny buttons, arranging the veil, making sure everything was perfect. Photos before the ceremony. Though not of you and the groom together, that was bad luck. He wouldn't see you until you walked down the aisle. The church would fill, guests arriving, ushers seating people, the bride's side, the groom's side. Though really, people just sat where they wanted. Flowers everywhere, arrangements at the altar, ribbons on the pews, simple but beautiful. The organist playing soft music, creating atmosphere, building anticipation. The groom and groomsmen would wait at the front, nervous, fidgeting, trying not to show it. Then the music would change. The processional would begin. The bridesmaids first, walking slowly, in pairs or one by one, taking their places at the front. The maid of honor, carrying your bouquet if you'd handed it off, taking her place beside where you'd stand. The flower girl, usually a niece or a cousin, dropping petals, sometimes doing it perfectly, sometimes getting shy and running. The ring bearer, a small boy carrying a pillow with the rings tied on, hopefully not losing them. And then the music would swell. Here comes the bride, the wedding march. Everyone would stand, turn, look toward the back, and there you'd be, on your father's arm, in your white dress, veil over your face. You'd take that first step, begin that long walk down the aisle, all eyes on you, your father beside you, his arm steady, his eyes probably misty, his daughter, his little girl, about to become someone's wife. You'd look ahead, see your groom waiting, see him, see you, see his face light up, see him mouth, "You're beautiful," and you'd keep walking, one step at a time, past relatives, past friends, past your whole life gathered to witness this moment. At the front, your father would stop. The minister would ask, "Who gives this woman to be married to this man?" "Her mother and I," your father would say, or sometimes just "I do." He'd lift your veil, kiss your cheek, place your hand in your groom's hand, and step back, and you'd step forward. Take your place beside your groom, your hand in his, both of you facing the minister. The ceremony would begin. Traditional, familiar, words that had been spoken at countless weddings before. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today." The vows repeated after the minister, the same vows everyone said, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part. You'd mean every word. This was forever. Divorce was rare, shameful, failure. You were promising to make this work no matter what. The rings would be exchanged, slipped onto fingers, symbols of never-ending love and commitment. And then the words everyone was waiting for. "I now pronounce you man and wife." You may kiss the bride. He'd lift your veil, lean in, kiss you. The first kiss as husband and wife. Sweet, brief, appropriate for church. The congregation would applaud. The organ would play, joyful, triumphant. "I present to you Mr. and Mrs. John Henderson, and you'd walk back down the aisle together, arm in arm, husband and wife, beaming, glowing, barely able to believe it was real. The receiving line would form outside the church, you and your new husband, your parents, his parents, the wedding party, and every guest would file through, shaking hands, hugging, offering congratulations. Beautiful ceremony. You look stunning. Best wishes for a happy life together. Over and over until your face hurt from smiling. Your hand hurt from shaking, but you didn't mind. This was your day. The reception would follow, often in the church basement or fellowship hall, or at a restaurant or hotel if the family could afford it. Tables covered in white cloths, centerpieces, simple decorations, a head table for the wedding party, a receiving line if you hadn't done one at the church, then everyone would eat. Cake was essential. A tiered wedding cake, white frosting, maybe flowers made of frosting cascading down the sides. You and your groom would cut the first slice together, his hand over yours on the knife, flashbulbs popping. You'd feed each other a bite, carefully, sweetly, no smashing it in each other's faces. That wasn't done. Then the cake would be served to everyone, with punch or coffee. There might be a meal, finger sandwiches, nuts and mints, punch, nothing too elaborate. Nothing with alcohol. Many receptions were dry, or if it was more formal, chicken or ham, rolls, salad, sheet cake for dessert. The dancing would begin. The first dance, just you and your groom, all eyes on you, swaying together to your song. Something romantic, something meaningful. Then your father would cut in, dance with his daughter one last time. The bride's dance with her father, emotional, bittersweet. The groom would dance with his mother. Then others would join, everyone dancing, celebrating. Toasts would be made. The best man, the father of the bride, glasses raised, wishes for happiness and prosperity. At some point after an hour, maybe two, you'd slip away, change into your going away outfit, a suit or a nice dress, something you could travel in. You'd come back, throw your bouquet, all the single girls gathering, reaching, whoever caught it would be next to marry. Your groom would remove your garter, throw it to the single men, laughter, teasing, and then you'd leave, through a hail of rice thrown by everyone as you ran to the car. Rice for fertility, for luck, for prosperity. The car would be decorated. Just married painted on the back window, tin cans tied to the bumper, rattling as you drove away. If this took you back to white dresses, church bells, and the moment you became husband and wife, subscribe to Yesterlives. We're preserving the love stories and milestones that built families. One vow, one kiss, one I do at a time. You'd drive away, to your honeymoon, maybe a weekend, somewhere nearby, a cabin, a hotel, the beach if you could afford it, maybe just one night, or straight to your new home, your apartment, your first place together, starting your married life. The next day or when you returned, you'd open gifts, piles of them, more housewares, linens, money and cards, setting up your home, your life. Thank you notes would be written, dozens of them, handwritten, specific, grateful, and then life would begin. Married life. You'd wake up as Mrs. Henderson, not Dorothy anymore, Mrs. John Henderson. That was your identity now. You'd keep house, cook, clean, manage the home. That was your job, your role, your purpose. He'd go to work, provide, support, protect. That was his job, his role, his purpose. And you'd build a life together, save for a house, talk about children, plan for the future. Marriage in the 1950s wasn't about finding yourself or pursuing your dreams or maintaining independence. It was about partnership, building something together, creating a family, fulfilling roles, meeting expectations. Was it perfect? No. Were all marriages happy? Of course not. But divorce was rare. You worked through problems. You stayed, made it work, because you'd promised, in front of God and everyone, till death do us part. So if you got married in the 1950s, you remember the dress, the veil, the walk down the aisle, your father's arm, your groom's face. You remember the vows, the ring, the kiss, becoming husband and wife. You remember the reception, the cake, the dancing, the rice. You remember driving away, starting your new life, becoming Mrs. Someone, leaving one family, joining another. You remember the hope, the excitement, the certainty that this was right, this was forever. Because yesterday never truly disappeared. It just put on a white dress and walked down the aisle toward tomorrow. And if you close your eyes, you can still hear it. The organ, the vows, the words, I do, and everything changed. And your life, your real, adult, married life, finally began.